There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil Epi Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire Roy Blecker. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face. Of course, we'll join the mighty Met, 1490 a.m. at the bottom of the hour. Hopefully, we'll have Dr. Kelly Victory on. It's usually doing a Monday. Damn, what a weekend. Trump gets a couple victories on the ballroom. Robert said, tally-ho! Also, the big one, he got definitely, and Supreme Court said, yeah, you have the right to regulate these mail-in ballots. So, hey, we're making progress. Even though it may be slow. More on that. They can't stop. You know, they don't learn the first law of holes. I don't care what political stripe you get into, they don't learn. They cannot stop trying to shove stupid down our throat, trying to just say 70% less tires and they're going to cost less and you're going to save money. Of the latest with Ashley Zavala, the head of the California Energy Commission, who's effing us over like nobody's business. Corey Jackson, $6 million in potential nonprofit fraud. Boy, did that story start busting out over the weekend. We'll give you the latest on that. That is going to be an absolute. If they don't get Corey Jackson on this, I don't know. Of course, Bonner versus Bianco on the counting of the ballots in Riverside County and much, much more. But we'll get to the race reported as the lead story of the day, or the lead photo of the day, as you saw. Gosh dang these things. And how does this frickin' stuff that won't come off? It's absolutely drives me nuts. Silver Crown race at Springfield, Illinois. There you see the aftermath of a first lap crash. Conditions were kind of flaky. Here's another picture of an absolutely destroyed race car, as we shall see. You know, quit jumping around all over the place. Here's that in a flash. Here we go. We thought. There it is. Start of the race.
Bill gonna race down to the front straightaway. Oh, we got one upside down in a huge way here on the start. Red light's gonna come on.
And it did come on, definitely. You see the dust over there was absolutely horrific. And you get to the point, I don't know why there was so much dust in there, but no wonder you ran into the guys, or appears to be. It got a whole heck of a lot of play in. You know, and a lot of people, you know, if you've never sat in the seat, they're criticized. Well, how do you run into them? You can't see anything, or it appears to be. But it was a horrific crash, and they say, and he walked away. And that was a horrific number. More from the highlights of Springfield. Here we go.
On this one over in turn number one. Another tough ride, this one for Joey Mohan. And driver out of the car and walking around.
It was the second one, at least. Wasn't a freaking dust cloud. Got Joey jammed up in that little fracas. The upside down. Well, there isn't a little fracas on the 1 mile. You're hauling ass all the time. But here's some more highlights.
Way by. Oh, we got one flipping wildly down the front straightaway. Look out. Driver upside down in return number one. That is Danny Jennings.
That was a tough one. That was maybe the hardest one yet. Danny Jennings taking a absolute radical tumble on that. He walked out of, I believe, also Briggs Danner, and that was it. Shortened 4 laps. They had to get on with the other fair activities or whatever was going on at that. But congratulations to Briggs Danner and the Mickey Meyer number 10. Here's the high limit hijinks. Friday night, hit the world famous Tulare Speedway. You.
Time flipping, doing cartwheels in turns 1 and 2. Dominic Gordon and Jet Yantis, both flipping at the exact
synchronized flipping by Gordon and Yantis. Those are pretty good. See if we can cue that up again.
same time. We did not see how it started. Here's a look at it right here. 2 completely different incidents. They didn't even touch each other. We come to the green off of turn number 4, back underway.
That, I mean, how do you pull that off? 2 synchronized flips. They must have hooked the same hole at the I mean, within milliseconds apart. I've seen cars flip and synchronize, but they usually tangle together. Not 2 guys do that. That's, again, you hang around this stuff long enough, see just about everything more. From the Santa Marina high limit hijinks, here we go.
Beautifully timed restart by Corey Day down the front straightaway. He's going to tiptoe the bottom. Grassy to the inside, Aaron Wright. So here comes the X1.
Chance Grassy goes to second, passing the Highland Racing point
leader. Do you get this stuff? Well. What in
Brooks
the hell?
By the 7BC and Tyler Courtney moved Landon Brooks up to 4th and now looking for 3rd off of turn number 4. If you did not know.
The Epson printer wants to frickin' update while I'm on the frickin' air.
Who this young driver was from Sassoon City, California. Now you do. He's running second with the best in the business here at the Thunderbolt Raceway, trying to track down Corey Day.
Grassley was doing pretty darn good up there. I think he was battling with all the leaders, local West Coast guy. Check out more of this. I think it was a Corey payday. Here we go.
Down the back straightaway, but into 3 and 4 for the final time. Got upside down last night at Santa Maria, finished 24th. He'll go from the outhouse to the penthouse one night later. Corey Day wins at the
outhouse to the penthouse. Corey Day, Aaron Reitzel. Grassley got a top 5, which was real good at the famed and fast Tulare Speedway. Then they were on to Placerville Saturday night. More action. Here we go.
Fire that separates the track from the backstretch ramp. Right there. Man, what an impact there on the right side of the car. Day looking to add a win.
Corey Day was back out front again. As you see, more wild flips. I told you, they destroyed a lot of race cars this weekend. See if we get a double payday for Corey Day. Here we go. We thought as we go. Now here. It's going to be a fun Monday, I can tell you.
Victories for Corey Day. He wins tonight at Placerville. 2nd to Landon Brooks. 3rd goes to Shane Golick. 4th Tanner Holmes. And 5th.
Golick got a 3rd. Another local racer out here battling with the big boys of the high limit hijinks series of that. So heck of a weekend. Coast to coast. Those had the Freedom 250. Won by Kyle Kirkwood. And I'm not a big fan of street courses, but that was a darn good street course. I mean, wide, no real narrow spots of anything. Packed crowd. Actually, for a street course, maybe one of the best I've ever seen. Here's Kyle Kirkwood on his
country of everything that makes both of them great. And what a driver we have in Kyle Kirkwood to bring it home for a famous victory. There will only be one winner of the Freedom 250, and how fitting that it's Kyle Kirkwood as the Secretary of Transportation waves the checkered flag. Kyle Kirkwood wins.
Good job, Kyle Kirkwood. You see big crowd. Trump waved the green flag. Sean Duffy, our transportation secretary, the checkered flag on that. Absolutely fabulous report going on. Ricky King won the trailer figure 8 race at the pass on Night of Destruction. Jesse Gordon, Batman, is undefeated in that, so it's a good charge. Lots of stuff tore up at Night of Destruction. Night of Destruction, as you would say. Shorty Templeman from out here died, almost 70 years ago today in a 2-car crash. He was the first USAC midget champion, and his son, Clark Templeman Jr., followed him in death, driving a sprint car going out the third turn billboards in turn 3 at Ascot Park in Gardena. And I don't know if it's true, I heard that was the first father and son to die in automobile, at least open wheel racing accidents. So rest easy, Shorty and Clark Temple. Famed Ascot Speedway, this is how it should be. That's after wheel packing, and that was typical not only of Ascot Park, but practically every racetrack in the nation. We'll jump into Tiregate. Corey Jackson and the new 6. All of a sudden, his new kart, and not the old race organization, his new kart racist nonprofit, just all of a sudden got $6 million. More in the Tiregate, flock cameras, Dr. Kelly, and more. And the rest of today's show. Yes, it is. Oh, it's been a fun day, especially in here. This has been the month. This is definitely a Monday. Every possible thing that could go wrong so far has gone wrong. See, I even got a cough in the middle of... Haven't coughed all day. Corey Jackson! Set the table a little bit. He first came on the scene in Moreno Valley, got on our traffic safety committee, our then city manager, who came from Rialto. Brought him over here as a teenager. He had him on some sort of committee up there. You know the city manager of Fontana, Henry Garcia. Brought him up here, got him on our traffic safety committee. He was 18, 19 years old. He soon got with the crime syndicate, Moreno Valley Unified School District. All of a sudden, he's mentoring kids in our high schools. Corey Jackson, in my opinion, is 111% racist to the core. And that's me being nice on a nice day. After much questions on that from the late Victoria Baca, Joanne Steffen, Hurricane Louise Palomares, myself, and many others, questioning that whole thing, where's the money going? What exactly is he mentoring? Of course, they brought the Peden twins with them from Rialto up here. And they told us what a bunch of yo-yos we were. Hicks, hillbillies, racist white hillbillies, and all that crap. Come under SBX or Sigma Beta Xi and all that. And Rhodes, Ernest Roan IV really started that, their teacher over in Rialto. Preaching radical racism and perpetuating it over here. Formed SBX with that. Then, of course, we got the whole uncovering of the $3.9 million project that was funded with our taxpayer dollars, federal taxpayer dollars, all you from the 50 states. $3.9 billion, $3.9 million given to SBX. It was negotiated by Corey Jackson while he was elected official. the County Board of Education. Then in 22, he gets elected to the Assembly. He turns SBX over to Darrell Peden. And then that project failed. The county had to is putting $1.8 million. And I'd like to know if they're out as the operator, too. We didn't. He kept this under the radar. He formed another nonprofit in 2020, just before this, called CART. Another, in my opinion, race-baiting, racist organization. Nonprofit. Got 250 grand seed money. Appears, from the evidence coming out of the state. Well, Natalie Winters first dropped the story Thursday evening, and it started busting loose Friday. He got this $250,000 nonprofit. Just got $6 million from the state of California. Appears to have no employees. Well, one person, a Roos, is a director. Holding no events, no nothing. The county, exiting Gutierrez, and I get a thread, former assemblyman, Riverside supervisor, and who voted to put that project, that failed project in, and continued after I brought them mounds of evidence. CART, Center Against Racism and Trauma. It's from the California Globe. CART, not the old IndyCar organization. They awarded themselves nonprofit. Corey, through his assembly, awards his own profit, nonprofit of the year in Inland Empire. And apparently, according to what the reports are from Winters and Grimes, approves $6 million general fund one time for the Center Against Racism and Trauma to expand anti-racism programming and trauma recovery resources in the Inland Empire with budget bill language. Apparently, Corey Jackson pushed through this, or that's what the allegation or the question is. Laura Powell, and we'll get into it more in the week, but she wrote a very extensive article laying all this out. A legislator's pet nonprofit just got $6 million taxpayer money. Here's what it actually does. Well, as the late Paul Harvey used to say, think Laura Powell and ever Natalie Winters and Katie Grimes. There's much, much more to the rest of this story. ISIF, a black equity fund, got $6 million to sustain black-led organizations in 2023. You know, just after he got $3.9 million in ARPA, our taxpayer funds through the Riverside County, he gets $1 million to the IE Black Equity Fund. Of course, there's the executive board of the Congressional Legislative Black Caucus. Oh, isn't that a crew? There's Corey. And as I view it, his racist garb. We'll get far in depth in this on the week. Of course, don't tread on me. Tiregate, was up on the mantle. Great Ashley Zavala had the doofus head. The California Energy Commission, David Hochschild. They're trying to convince us how stupid we are, that you're going to take 70% of the tires off the market and they're going to be cheaper.
But again, just to confirm though, do you think right now in this moment that California customers want to be told what they can and essentially cannot buy, and that California businesses want to be told what they can and cannot sell?
Well, I want to be clear. They will have plenty of choice. There will be plenty of manufacturers and plenty of options. What will not?
Only 2 manufacturers have said, well, maybe we might build some tires. Everybody else said sayonara. You're taking 70% of the tires currently made up, and you're going to have a California-only, basically, tire. We know what the California-only gas is 50% higher than the national average. When the rest of the country is paying $3 a gallon, we're paying $4.55. We've cut the supply to gas, refineries, and the price keeps going up. What do you think's going to happen with tires, you moron?
Not be available is the low efficiency tires that are going to hurt consumers. So I don't want to, suggest in any way that there won't be plenty of choice. There'll be ample choice, but it will be like these other industries.
You hear that? Well, there won't be plenty of choices, but there'll be ample choice. Oh no! He just contradicted himself. David Hochschild. Man, he's the head of the California Energy Commission with his colleague Nancy Seahag Skinner.
That I mentioned, but when you buy a computer today, that is subject to an efficiency standard. Your refrigerators, your dishwashers, your washing machines, your televisions, your lighting, that's all subject to baseline efficiency standards.
Tires are not appliances. Tires are not appliances.
Right, they're not an appliance in the same sense of having electronics, but they are.
But we're going to regulate every frickin' aspect of your life. Like all those energy stickers, do you pay attention to those if you're buying a new refrigerator? I don't. I don't know anybody that even. It adds more cost to the frickin' wash machine, refrigerator, radio, gasoline, tires, whatever we're buying, food. Can we just make, we'd be better off just buying Monaco. And here's the luxury places, and just shipping them off over there, we'd be better off ahead. Just don't hurt us anymore. We'll get more into that also. Sheriff Chad versus Rob Bonner is being heard on the ballots being counted, the seats. Please just, Supreme Court, California, this is a long shot. Just let Chad count the ballots and put this to rest. It's Fox 2 report. Here we go.
Good morning, James. A high-stakes argument going to happen right here later this morning. This will be the setting. Now let's talk a little bit about the case. It centers around did Southern California Sheriff Chad Bianco legally seize about 650,000 ballots cast in last year's redistricting election. The Riverside County Sheriff seized the ballots as part of an investigation into alleged election discrepancies. The election included a measure to redraw congressional districts along partisan lines, potentially creating up to 5 more Democratic-leaning districts. Prop 50, as it was known. Now, this was in response to redistricting in Texas. The case was filed by the UCLA Voting Rights Project on behalf of county residents. Now, 4 residents in particular are challenging. One of them, Clarissa Cervantes, which is how we get the case name, Cervantes versus Bianco. Currently, California Governor candidate Javier Becerra is also one of the parties filing against Bianco, who at the time was also in the race for governor.
Chad Bianco seized these ballots, which was seen as kind of a really big political play to kind of get some juice.
It may be seen as a political play, but it's not. We've had Riverside County elections have been some of the most corrupt in the United States for decades. Clown. Listen, we can go through the record. We've done it. These yo-yos are doing that. This is one easy way. And I've said, let them count the ballots. Team Temecula and Langworthy's and Niederrecker are right, or they can't reconcile them, then we got a problem. If Art Tanaka is right and Chad counts are 657,000 ballots with a yes or no on there, these guys are smoking their lunch, then I'm done with it. This is as easy as it comes. Yet we got to play political football with every darn freaking thing. I don't know. I'm going to be surprised if Chad wins a case against the California Supreme Court. And since it's a state issue, I don't think there could be. I don't know if there's an appealable issue to the Supreme Court. But let's not jump ahead. Let's see what the California Supreme Court says. Breaking news alert. Trump got a big victory. The Supreme Court, his executive order on the ballots and mail-in ballots and being able to regulate them. Supreme Court says, go right ahead, Donald J. Here's the breaking news from Local 4. Here we go.
Now, just in from the Supreme Court, the justices are allowing President Donald Trump to move forward for now with his plan to restrict mail-in voting. The president signed the executive order back in March, directing the administration to create lists of eligible voters and tell USPS to deliver mail-in ballots only to people on those lists. It's still unclear how much of that plan can actually be put in place before the midterm elections. Time is running out. Some states will begin sending mail-in ballots to voters within weeks. The ruling also leaves the door open to more legal challenges in the future.
So there you go. They said, hey, he's El Presidente. The United States Post Office is under the control of the Presidente. He's the executive branch of the federal government. He has a right to set and make requirements for the post office to deliver mail-in ballots. Maybe we're not going to get the Save America Act, but at least we got a victory on the ballots. And no matter what, I guarantee if Kamala Harris was sitting in the Oval Office, which, oh, don't even get me started. It'll be, wow, I don't even want, gosh, almost passed out thinking about that. Oh, man, we'll be hitting the mighty Met KMET here in a few seconds. We should, hopefully, we'll have Dr. Kelly, as we usually do, at that. Hey, I hear something in the background.
30 seconds, Roy.
Oh, there we go. There's Sean coming in. I didn't see my, although everything's been going haywire.
Okay, here we go, Dr. Kelly.
It usually says KMET with the black 1490 when you click in.
Here we go, Roy.
Okay. PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Joining our vast video audience in the Evil FB Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire Roy Blecker. You'll see my nice smiling, shining face. Man, we got to all sorts of race report. Holy cow. Man, did they destroy a lot of race cars all up and down all across the country. The Freedom 250 was absolutely fabulous, and I'm not a big fan of street course races, but that may be the best street course that was in Washington, D.C. that was put together. Wide Wasn't cramped in, good racing all the way around. Shows you Donald J. and the crew can put together an event like nobody's business on the race report weekend. Corey Jackson, who we've been reporting on for over a decade. Now the allegation are, how did he get $6 million of state money dumped into his nonprofit while he's a sitting assemblyman? Inquiring minds want to know. That broke by Natalie Winters Friday morning, and man, that's blown up at least a lot across the nation on that whole thing. Can you say fraud? Tiregate, they're still trying to tell us they're going to take 70% of the tires off the market in California, and you know what? They're going to get cheaper and you're going to save money. I think and maybe the COVID con was, maybe they're right. The way people reacted to the COVID con, maybe people are that stupid. The vast majority are. And they're treating you that way because we go, that, man, oh man, but as we usually do on a Monday, we have, as I've determined her, the supreme physician in all the world, expert on COVID-19 and just about everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to iNewsWire, Leroy.
Hey, great to be with you as always, Roy.
I want to get your, the one of these couple things, the voter deal and the Trump victory. We'll get to that in a second. I just want to get your, another thing that just seems to be sweeping the country. It looks like 70% of the people, and I'm even starting to agree with them more and more on these whole flock cameras and the surveillance. And while there is like in anything, there's a positive aspect to the flock cameras, I'm getting increasingly concerned about the surveillance state that's coming. That is here. It can go back to, TSA and 9/11 and all that other stuff, Homeland Security and all this other stuff. I don't think we need cameras in the United States in 2 years that have proliferated that can track our every move any time of the day and monitor the bumper stickers on our cars or everything else. But what say you, Dr. Kelly?
I got to tell you, Roy, be afraid. Be very afraid. I agree with you. There is no level of surveillance that will offset, that there's no benefit that, oh, yes, will help us solve some crime. No. This is surveillance. This is absolutely pushing us down a very dark path where the government is capable of following your every move. They know everything about you, who you convene with, where you travel, what you do. I say absolutely. I understand why people are concerned about it. I'm extraordinarily concerned about it. I will tell you, I do on a regular basis everything I can. I'm a techno retard, but I will go and find those ways. I go to the website to tell me what I can do on my cell phone or my computer to decrease the ability of the government to track me, to follow, not just the government, whoever they are, the Chinese, to track me, follow me, target me. Absolutely. So I have to tell you, I am not a fan of flock cameras. I think they're a huge issue. I would way rather let a random speeder or two get by than have everybody and their brother, including me and you, followed everywhere we go.
This has a particular connotation to Moreno Valley, where I'm broadcasting from Moreno Valley, California, because our mayor, Ulysses Baby Jesus Cabrera, and we're still trying to undig it. We had our own camera system that was just like, if the cops want to monitor, and they're blanking out all the stuff. And we went through this 10 years ago. All of a sudden, these flock cameras and a $3 million contract. Our mayor was hired by Flock Camera and made a couple presentations of other places, how he was a contract employee or something with that. Then he was alleging sexual harassment. Get this. Somebody another man bumped his leg up against him, and he's alleging sexual harassment, all sorts of that. And, whatever it was, they settled the case, and he's no longer working for them. We got 3. Why do we need more cameras? And then, especially with all this other crap on there, when we already had most of the places they put these new flock cameras up, we already had a camera system that we had paid for 12 years ago, functionally fine. But it didn't have license plate readers and, where they could just punch in and say, well, wonder what Roy's doing, up to today. Let's just run his plate and we'll track of where he's been all the time. And this is going on across the country. No, this is going absolutely way too far from what I'm seeing personally right in my own hometown, Dr. Kelly.
Absolutely. So if Roy, they intended to use the cameras for precisely what they say, then great. Let's codify that. Let's put that into the law. Let's say any information that you gather from this camera can only be used to prosecute or be involved in a case related to a traffic issue from blank, blank, blank. But they would never sign that because that's not what they want. So if you're saying, if that was your intention to use this camera to capture fundamentally data about, or, this particular traffic, issue, this area, whatever, then good, codify that and say that it won't be used for anything else. But they will not do that because their intention is always to gather more information, more data about you, where you move, with whom you commute. They want to know who you're involved with, what you do. This is all about information. So anytime you try to limit it, they will pull back and say, "Oh no, we aren't putting those limitations on it." Well, then I smell a rat.
I mean, again, with the, we have all these, giant tech companies that are surveilling, selling our information, trading it, monitoring it, that, like the McDonald's guy got his, one thing about California, and Jerry Brown put this in, you have the right to get it back. He went to his McDonald's, when you're swiping your card over, there's a 500 frickin' page report on him. I mean, for crying out loud, the sliding of the cashless society coming where, you just slide your card in here. Well, they can build a profile on you like nobody's business of that. And this is just another chink in this armor that, again, and I mean, I know people freak out when you say it, but I mean, this is reminding me of Hitler and the Jews and all that, and pretty soon, you're getting marched in the gas chamber and it's all over, Dr. Kelly.
Roy, it should. And as I said, I was, I'm halfway joking about the fact that I'm a techno retard, but what's serious is that I do spend a lot of time making sure that everything that is within reason that I can control on my phone, my computer, my laptop, whatever it is, that I'm turning off all of these surveillance mechanisms because they are deeply embedded in everything you do. Every single time you use your cell phone to take a photo, every single time you order something online, every single time you do something using technology, they are tracking you. They have that ability to. There's a reason why all you have to do is search one thing. I don't care what it is, the best brownie recipe. And the next thing you know, when you're online, 75 brownie recipes show up because they are tracking that. And so we have got to eliminate as much as possible the ability. You can't, unfortunately, I think the genie's out of the bottle. I don't think you can go back in time and say, the heck with it, I'm not using technology, full stop. It's not reasonable. But you can do certain things to limit how much tracking is available. And that includes, by the way, covering the cameras on your devices. Make sure that they can't actually spy on you. Put a piece of tape, a sticky note over the camera on your god-darn laptop and your desktop so that the camera facility is turned off. It is shocking to me, frankly, how much they are able and are clearly tracking.
It is. I mean, a few months ago, my phone fell out, and it was in an office building, a person I know. So, I was looking, or, I got it, 3 hours later, and figured, oh, well, I ain't hearing the stupid thing. So I just type in my computer, how can you find your phone? And I do that, and boom, it's telling me right where it is. And I figured, that's it. The phone stays on the kitchen table or the coffee table or whatever most of the time. I don't carry it with me much anymore. If I'm going a long ways away, I will for that. But I don't have it with me all the time. It stays in one position, like the old rotary dial phone. It's staying in one spot there most of the time. I don't want them tracking every exact movement I'm making and all the other stuff. And I'm even trying to figure out ways of not to do, like you said, or ways to hide how you're tracking or when you're searching stuff or that, so they're not tracking. And believe me, all those goofy ads and stuff went way the hell down. So I know it can even, and I'm a techno retard like you, so I know how difficult it can be to do that. But if I can do it, practically anybody can figure out how to do it, probably 10 times easier than me. But I suggest people start moving to that. Even though I know the theft deal, start paying just stuff for cash at the grocery store or whatever, at the restaurant or wherever you're eating and stuff. I mean, I have a big fear if we don't start reversing at least some of this, we're all going to be in deep doo-doo, as George Poppy Bush said, Dr. Kelly.
I agree with you, Roy. I think this is one of the biggest unspoken, unrecognized threats that we have. People think their threat is constantly, from the Chinese or the Iranians, lobbing the nuke. Your biggest threat is what you do every day. The fact that they are tracking us, that they are tracking you, that the government, that the existential threat exists because they know everything you are doing. You are putting yourself constantly at risk with every single thing you do. If you are not, controlling, as we were just saying, the camera on your phone, on your laptop, all of the addresses, it's funny. I said just the other day to a friend, I said, if someone ever calls me and says, send me, $5,000, I have all of your websites and your passwords, I'm going to say, hang on, let me get a piece of paper. What are they? Let me write them down because I don't know what the heck they are. But the reality is these other forces, all joking aside, they do know. And people have got to get way more savvy, particularly, I hate to say it, people like me over the age of 50, who didn't grow up with this. You've got to get smarter. So many people, young people, think they post crap out there on Instagram and Facebook and here and there, thinking that all they're doing is posting some fun thing for their friends. Well, here's the reality. There are nefarious actors, the Chinese, our government, other people who have, financial interests are tracking you. They are paying attention to every single thing you post, every single thing you do, and you've got to start trying to protect yourself and keep that private.
Another thing, and it kind of parallels with this, you posted on your X feed from Charles Wise, except for a handful of heroes who kept their Hippocratic oaths to protect their patients, the medical profession prostituted itself to the beast. I mean, this is another prime, and you put the truth on there, and I 111% agree. And this is like what we're talking about. You know, how many in the medical community, doctors, nurses were mostly, or a lot of them were like saying, hey, this is a bunch of BS. But doctors, the vast majority of them sat there and complied, and they knew exactly what was going down. And they not only did they not say nothing, they went along with it at the detriment of all of our health, or most of us, of that. It's maybe the biggest Greek tragedy ever, but what say you, Dr. Kelly?
100%. Look, I have said this over and over again, and I will stand by it, Roy. A handful of us, and I mean a handful, had the guts, the tenacity, and the courage to stand up and say the truth from the very beginning. Lots of people jumping on the bandwagon now that it's safe to come out. Okay, I want nothing to do with those people. Yeah, you're a day late and a dollar short. But those of us who had the guts to say it from day one, and I've said over and over, and I truly maintain it, that none of what happened during COVID, the atrocities, the deaths, the devastation to our children's education, the devastation to life and livelihood, the crater we left where our economy used to be, none of it could have happened, Roy, had others in my own profession, doctors, pharmacists, nurses, been willing to stand up and say the truth. They knew it. Many of them knew it. The vast majority of them knew it. A handful were dumb enough to not know it, but most of them knew it but weren't willing, didn't have the courage, the tenacity, the bravery to say it. And none of it would have happened had I had more than just a handful of us willing to step and go like, whoa, stop. We are not doing lockdowns, masks for, respiratory virus. Are you kidding? Lockdown, social distancing, that's a joke. Children aren't at risk, and on and on and on. If I had others willing to stand by me shoulder to shoulder, much of this wouldn't have happened. So do I stand here before you today now saying I have been vindicated? Yes, I do. You can kneel in front of me, people, because yes, I had it right and I was willing to do it. But what's more important is trying to empower people to say, for the love of God, next time, please don't fall for it. Have the guts to stand up and do the right thing. That's what your Hippocratic Oath was about. You are supposed to stand up, in the face of evil, in the face of, whatever powers that be, and say, no, my job, my role, my commitment, my oath was to my patients, to the health, and to humanity. And I will, if I get arrested, if I lose my license, okay, that'll happen. But I will stand for truth. And hopefully, God, please, next time, let more people have the courage to do it.
The other one that caught my eye on your X feed was from Thrilla the Gorilla. Great name for that. When was the last time you got a flu shot? I'm honestly curious. And you wrote, never, 35 years as a physician, and I never had a flu shot. Well, I'm not a physician either at all, but I've never had a flu shot ever in 65 years. But, I mean, again, we got to start looking at all this stuff because I think, we're toning down the vaccines. The next thing we got to look at is like all these flu shots and stuff, which I think do more harm than good. But what say you, Dr. Kelly?
100%. I'm telling you, I never got a flu shot in my life. I probably had more vaccines than many because of places I've chosen to travel, but I didn't take the ones that were optional, including flu vaccines. We way, way, way over vaccinate people, Roy. I'm not saying that every single vaccine that's out there is unwarranted, but we should really get them back to the handful that you and I, being of the same vintage, took when we were growing up. The handful, polio, maybe measles, chicken pox wasn't around. You probably had chicken pox just like I did. I had chicken pox, I had the mumps, I had the measles. Not the vaccines. I had the diseases. I had them, and I was just fine, and so did all of my siblings. So I'm not saying that every vaccine that's out there, I don't want to get yellow fever. Most people shouldn't. That vaccine's probably reasonable. But we are way over-vaccinating people, and our health statistics show that. We are driving chronic illness. We are driving autoimmune issues, cancers, neurologic problems, cardiac problems, and they are largely related to the massive over-vaccination that we are doing.
Got a couple minutes left. Anything else our audience should know? Go.
Well, again, I'm watching very closely what's happening with Anthony Fauci. We just saw David Morin's, Anthony Fauci's top advisor, plead guilty to conspiracy. He was Fauci's top advisor, saying, yes, I did in fact destroy documents in order to keep them from being, released under FOIA requests. So I think Anthony Fauci's narrative is crumbling. We now have a Danish scientist who is now expected to plead guilty once again for falsifying documents related to vaccines and their relationship to autism. That's going to happen early part of September. So I think that the house of cards may be crumbling. We may be finally, Roy, exposing the just abject corruption and graft and falsification of scientific documents that's gone on for decades. So keep it tuned, and I will bring you the facts as I find them.
Thanks for being on, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again soon.
Thanks, Roy.
Dr. Kelly Victory saying it, as we say, only she can. Man, it's something else. It's like this. I mean, when are we going to get to the point? And that's what I'm saying to the young people, and I get it. And, let's work on the flock cameras and get rid of that. But you cats got to saddle up with us, too. Stop carrying that cell phone with you 24/7, sleeping with it. It's like a pacifier. And with that, you'll never get past being a year old. Well, you have to depend on that. Leave it on the desk. If you don't get a phone call or you don't answer it or that, or, well, if you don't do that, but, if you don't respond to a text message within half a nanosecond after you do it, the world's not going to stop freaking spinning. How did we survive? I don't know, 5, 10 million years or whatever, however you believe the human species goes back. How did we ever survive without all this? In fact, I think we did a lot better in the 50% scale, plus or minus. Everything in it excess, even if it's good in moderation, sex, drinking, whatever, is great, but if you take things to this extreme, that's even things that are great or good for you can wind up killing you or making your life miserable. So if you don't want the flock cameras and the surveillance state, it's time to start peeling back like Dr. Kelly said, get a handle on all this stuff. Then maybe we got a fighting chance. It's getting down to that. We did have a victory in the Supreme Court with Trump on the mail-in ballots. His executive order was upheld, even though the Senate's not moving on the Save America Voter ID Act. And we will have it on the ballot. Hopefully we'll get it passed in California. Though it's not as strict as the Save America Act. It's a start. Trump's executive order is a start. He can use the post office to start peeling back the onion. There's a lot of work to do. I get it. It can feel overwhelming. But you gotta dig down and dig deep. As the great George Allen, as the coach of the Redskins, said, all of us working together, we cannot lose. We need to start at that point. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time, mandatory. You're back here in 23 hours. Why? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid program.
All right, Roy. I will talk to you tomorrow.
You got it. Let's see. Shut this off.